I can't live like this anymore, Ben. This old woman is driving me insane. I froze in the kitchen doorway, wooden spoon still in my hand. That voice, sharp, impatient, was my daughter's. Megan. She was on the phone, pacing the living room. Her tone was the same one she used when she argued with customer service or complained about bills. But this time, it wasn't about money. It was about me. She ruins everything, Megan said. Ben, you don't understand. She's always in the way. Always listening, always cleaning things that don't need to be cleaned. Mark my words, if she doesn't leave soon, I'll lose my mind. The spoon slipped from my trembling hand, clattering on the tile. My heart thudded in my chest so hard it hurt. I stood frozen, breath shallow, afraid she might notice me. But she didn't. She just kept talking, spilling every word like poison through the walls of the home I had built for her. I was 68 years old, and my only child had just called me a burden. That night, I didn't say a word. I didn't confront her or cry where anyone could see. I simply returned to my small room at the back of the house, the one I'd taken so they could have the larger spaces, and knelt beside the bed. Lord, I whispered, voice shaking, show me what I'm supposed to do. Please, help me understand. Tears came, quiet and hot. I pressed my face into the pillow, muffling every sob like a secret. Outside my window, the moonlight washed over the yard I had tended for decades, the same yard where I once pushed Megan on her swing, laughing as she shouted, "Higher, Mama. Higher." By morning, I was back in the kitchen as always. I made breakfast, scrambled eggs for Ben, avocado toast for Megan, chocolate chip pancakes for Emma, my 12-year-old granddaughter who still smiled at me like I was someone special. Megan scrolled on her phone, barely glancing up. Mom, this coffee tastes weird again. How hard is it to follow the instructions? I'm sorry, sweetheart. I'll. Forget it. She grabbed her purse and walked out, the door slamming behind her. Ben followed, wordless as usual. Only Emma stayed behind. She came around the table and wrapped her arms around me. You're the best, Grandma, she said, voice small and sincere. Don't let Mommy make you sad. That hug was the only warmth I felt all day. When the house went quiet, I sat alone at the table, staring at the old pencil marks by the kitchen doorway, little notches that marked Megan's height through the years. Megan, age 6. Megan, age 8. Megan, age 10. Each one carved by my hand, full of hope for her future. My throat tightened. Somewhere between those lines, my daughter had grown up and stopped seeing me as her mother. The phone rang. It was my best friend, Diane. Clara, how are you holding up? Still up for coffee this afternoon? Of course, I said, forcing brightness into my voice. I'll be there. When we met, I couldn't hold back anymore. The words came tumbling out, the phone call, the way they ignored me, the threat of being sent away. Diane's eyes filled with tears as she gripped my hands across the table. Oh, Clara, she said softly. You spent your whole life giving that girl everything. She's forgotten who made all of this possible. Maybe I spoiled her, I murmured. Maybe it's my fault she turned out this way. No, Diane said firmly. You were a good mother. Don't blame yourself. But tell me something, does the house still belong to you? Yes, I said slowly. When Megan got married, I added her name to the deed, but I'm still the primary owner. Diane's expression hardened. Then remember this, you have power. Don't let them make you feel like you don't. Her words echoed all the way home. Power. What power did I have, a woman my age who'd spent her whole life working and giving and forgiving? When I reached the house, the front door was open. I heard raised voices inside. I'm telling you, Ben, I can't take it anymore. Megan was shouting. She's always around, touching everything, asking stupid questions. I need my space. I know, Ben sighed. But we can't just throw her out. People would talk. I don't care what people say. We'll find her a nice place, a nursing home or something. My mom says she knows one on the other side of town. A nursing home. My knees nearly gave out. I stepped into the room, and silence fell. Megan's face went pale. Mom, oh, you're home early. I heard everything, I said quietly. She swallowed hard. Mom, it's not what you think. We just want what's best for you. You'd have people your age there. Doctors, meals, all taken care of. Who takes care of me here? I asked. I'm the one who cooks, cleans, and watches Emma. What exactly do you do for me, Megan? Mom, don't be dramatic, she snapped. You know how you get. Ben stood up, trying to sound calm. Clara, it's just time for you to rest. You've worked hard your whole life. Let us handle things now. This is my house, Ben. I bought it. I paid for every brick. They both froze. Megan's mouth tightened. We're just trying to help you. No, I said. You're trying to get rid of me. I walked upstairs, locking my door for the first time in years. Inside, I sat on the bed, surrounded by memories that suddenly felt like ghosts. On the wall was an old photo of Megan as a child, 5 years old, in a yellow dress I'd sewn myself. She was grinning, arms wrapped around my neck. That little girl loved me once. Where had she gone? I took the picture down and slipped it into my drawer. I couldn't live in the past anymore. That night, I heard laughter downstairs, Megan, Ben, and his mother, Carol, having dinner. Carol's shrill voice carried through the floorboards. Oh, Megan, this house is stunning. I told Ben you'd make it perfect once you got your own place. Yes, Megan said lightly, though it's hard keeping everything in order with, well, you know. Oh, your mother, Carol replied. Don't worry, dear. We'll find her somewhere comfortable soon. They were planning my exile in my own home. I knelt beside the bed again, whispering through clenched teeth. Lord, I can't let them take everything I built. Not after all I've done. The next morning, I waited until everyone had left. The silence was heavy but freeing. I went to my closet and pulled out a small metal box I hadn't touched in years. Inside were the important papers, the deed, my identification, my savings records. I studied the deed carefully. Primary owner, Clara Louise Bennett. Co-owner, added 15 years later Megan Bennett Reed. Diane's words came back to me. You have power. I dialed the number she'd given me, a lawyer named Michael Harper, her friend's son. Good morning, Mrs. Bennett, he said kindly. My mother told me you might call. How can I help? My daughter and son-in-law want to put me in a nursing home, I said. In the house I paid for. I need to know what my rights are. He listened quietly, then spoke with calm certainty. Mrs. Bennett, you're the legal owner of that home. As the primary name on the deed, you have full control over what happens to it. If they want you gone, they'll have to face the truth, it's not their house to take. For the first time in years, I felt my hands stop trembling. Are you sure you want to go through with this, Mrs. Bennett? More sure than I've been about anything in a long time, Mr. Harper. He nodded, sliding the documents across his polished desk. Then we'll proceed. Everything will be ready in a week. When I hung up the phone, my hands trembled, not from fear, but from something I hadn't felt in decades, control. The next few days, I floated through the house like a ghost, calm and deliberate. I cooked breakfast, folded laundry, smiled when expected, but inside I was steady. Their words no longer pierced like they used to. Even when Ben's mother dropped by with her endless criticisms, too much salt, not enough sugar, poor Clara, I simply wiped the counter and let her chatter fade into nothing. Megan noticed before anyone else. "Mom, are you okay?" she asked on Wednesday, her brow pinched as I scrubbed a pan at the sink. "You've been acting weird lately." "I'm fine, honey," I said softly. "Just tired." "Have you thought about what we told you? About the senior residence? Ben's mom can take us this Saturday. They've got private rooms and activities, you'd love it." I didn't look at her. "We'll see, Megan. We'll see." She sighed, frustrated, and walked off muttering something under her breath. I didn't ask what. For the first time, I didn't care. On Thursday, the phone rang. "Mrs. Bennet," came Mr. Harper's steady voice, "the documents are ready. Can you stop by tomorrow morning?" "I'll be there." That night, Emma came to my room. She was clutching her stuffed bunny, her eyes glistening. "Grandma, Mom said you might move away. Is that true?" I pulled her into my arms, kissing her soft hair. "Oh, my darling, I'll always be close to you. Maybe not under the same roof, but always here." I touched her chest gently. "Right where you keep the people you love." "I don't want you to go," she whispered. "I know, sweetheart. But sometimes adults have to make hard choices to protect themselves." She cried quietly against my shoulder until she fell asleep. When I laid her back in bed, I stood there for a moment watching her breathe, wondering when exactly my daughter had lost the tenderness I had once taught her. Friday morning, I dressed in my blue Sunday dress and silver earrings. I left a note in the kitchen, went out early. Things to do. Love, Mom. Then I stepped out into the crisp morning air feeling lighter than I had in years. Mr. Harper's office was downtown in one of those old brick buildings that smelled faintly of leather and wood polish. He greeted me with a respectful nod. "Mrs. Bennet, please, sit down. Would you like some coffee?" "Yes, thank you." He spread the papers across the desk. "As primary owner, you have every legal right to modify the property's occupancy. Given your circumstances, we can issue a 30-day notice requiring them to vacate." "How long will they have to leave?" I asked, voice trembling slightly. 30 days, he said. "That's sufficient for them to find another place." "And Emma?" "She's a minor, so she goes with her parents. But you can request visitation rights. You won't lose contact with her." I picked up the pen. My hand didn't shake. Each signature felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. "The process server will deliver these documents tomorrow," Mr. Harper said. "You'll be notified once it's done." "Thank you, Mr. Harper," I said, standing. "For everything." He smiled. "You don't owe me thanks, Mrs. Bennet. You're standing up for yourself. That's never wrong." On my way home, I stopped by the small white church on Elm Street. I sat in the back pew, staring at the stained glass window of the shepherd and his flock. "Lord," I whispered, "give me strength. Protect Emma. Help Megan to understand someday why I did this." When I got home, they were all there, Megan, Ben, his mother, and Emma, talking and laughing in the living room. Megan stood when she saw me. "Mom, where have you been? We've been calling you." "I had business to take care of." "What business?" Ben asked, his tone sharp. "My own." I moved past them and began setting the table. "Shirley, no," Mrs. Prescott to me, followed me into the kitchen. "Clara, tomorrow we're going to tour the retirement home. It's all arranged. 10 o'clock sharp, dear." I turned slowly. "I'm not going to any retirement home." Her face twisted in disbelief. "Don't be ridiculous. You can't live here forever." This is Megan and Ben's home now. No, I said evenly. This is my home. And I'm staying. She scoffed and marched back to the living room. I could hear her whispering urgently to them, probably telling them I'd lost my mind. That night, we ate in silence. The clinking of forks was the only sound. Emma glanced at me several times, her small brow furrowed in worry. When the house went quiet, I stood at the kitchen sink looking out at the backyard. The rose bush I'd planted when Megan was a toddler still bloomed, fragile but stubborn. Tomorrow, I whispered to myself. Tomorrow everything changes. The next afternoon, I heard shouting from the foyer. Mom! Mom, get down here right now. Megan's voice was sharp and trembling. I came down the stairs slowly. She and Ben were in the living room, holding a stack of papers. Their faces were pale and furious. The process server was gone. What is this? She demanded. You're evicting us. From our own home. I'm exercising my rights, I said calmly. You have 30 days to leave. Ben's face reddened. You can't do this to your own daughter. I already have. Megan dropped onto the sofa, sobbing. How could you, Mom? After everything we've done for you. I felt my throat tighten. Everything you've done for me. You mean humiliating me? Planning to send me away to a nursing home? Treating me like help in my own house? Ben snapped, we gave you a roof over your head, Clara. This roof is mine, I said quietly. Bought with my own hands, my own work, long before either of you walked through that door. The silence after that was heavy enough to choke on. Emma stood at the top of the stairs, crying. I opened my arms. Come here, sweetheart. She ran into my embrace, and I held her tightly while her parents glared at us. This isn't over, Ben said coldly. We'll fight this. Then Mr. Harper will be expecting your call. That night was chaos, doors slamming, voices rising, Megan crying behind closed doors, but through it all, I sat in my room with the quiet conviction of someone who has finally drawn a line in the sand. The following days were cold and mechanical. Megan no longer spoke to me directly. When she needed something, she left notes, gas bills due. Order refill. Emma's laundry needs folding. Ben barely looked at me. His mother came daily, pretending to be helpful but really just watching me like a hawk. One afternoon, while cleaning under the sofa, I found an old box. Inside were photos, Megan at 2 in her pink overalls, at 5 with missing front teeth, at 8 blowing out birthday candles. I sat on the floor surrounded by them, the memories spilling out like sunlight through old glass. I cried until I couldn't breathe. That night, when Megan came home, I overheard her talking to Mrs. Prescott. She's trying to control us, Megan whispered. Always has. She's manipulative, dear, her mother-in-law said. Always the victim. Mark my words, you'll be better off once she's gone. I stepped into the doorway. Manipulative. That's what you call a mother who worked 3 jobs to keep you fed. Megan froze. Mom, please, don't start. I'm not starting. I'm finishing. My voice shook but didn't falter. All I ever wanted was a little respect. You talk about cruelty, what do you call plotting to send your mother to a nursing home behind her back? Don't twist this, Mom. You've made this house miserable. No, Megan. You did that the day you stopped seeing me as family and started seeing me as a burden. She stormed off upstairs, slamming the door so hard the walls rattled. Later that night, Emma came to my room again. Grandma, she whispered, Mom says we have to leave soon. She says you don't love us anymore. I felt something inside me crack. Oh, baby, I whispered, holding her face in my hands. That's not true. I love you more than my own life. But sometimes love means not letting people hurt you anymore. Even if those people are your own family. She cried, and I held her until she slept. Then I carried her back to her room, tucked her in, and kissed her forehead. "Forgive me, my little one," I murmured. "But this time, I'm saving myself." Days passed like that, cold, silent, heavy, but I didn't back down. For the first time in my 68 years, I wasn't living for someone else's comfort. I was living for my dignity. The simplest dinner I could think of, scrambled eggs with toast and a glass of milk. I sat at the table and ate slowly, savoring the quiet. No one interrupted me. No one complained about the food. No television blaring in the background. Just peace. When I finished, I washed my dish, wiped down the table, and stood for a moment looking out the kitchen window. The street was quiet. A soft orange light lingered on the horizon. For the first time in years, I felt that the house was breathing again, calm, steady, alive. I walked through each room, closing windows, straightening curtains, touching the walls as if to remind myself that this space, at last, belonged entirely to me. Every corner held memories, some bitter, some sweet, but none of them had power over me anymore. In the hallway, I stopped in front of an old framed photograph, Jessica at 10 years old, missing 2 front teeth, grinning beside a birthday cake. I smiled. That little girl is still somewhere inside her, I thought. Maybe one day she'll find her way back. I went to bed early. For the first time in a long time, I didn't fall asleep exhausted or angry. I fell asleep at peace. The next morning, sunlight poured through the curtains. Birds chirped outside the window. I brewed a pot of coffee and opened the front door to let in the fresh air. The roses in the garden seemed brighter, as if they too could sense the change. After breakfast, I took out my notebook, the same one where I had written my list, and crossed out the first item: regain control of my house. Done. I underlined it twice. Then I added a new line: start living. At 10, the phone rang. It was Lily. "Grandma. We're in the new house. It's smaller, but Mommy says it's cozy. Daddy is grumpy, though." I laughed softly. "Grown-ups get grumpy when they have to move, sweetheart. How are you doing? I miss you. Can I come this weekend?" "Of course, baby. I'm making pancakes." Her giggle was all the sunshine I needed. After we hung up, I decided to take a walk. The neighborhood felt different, quieter, lighter. I passed Mrs. Green watering her flowers and Mr. Johnson fixing his mailbox. They both waved. For years I had avoided conversations, always too tired or too busy. Today, I stopped to chat. "Mrs. Miller, you look wonderful," Mrs. Green said. "I don't know what it is, but there's something different about you." I smiled. Maybe because I finally started taking care of myself. That afternoon, I went to the market again. I bought things just for me: fresh bread, ripe peaches, a small piece of salmon, a bouquet of daisies for the kitchen table. When I got home, I played the radio and cooked while humming along to old songs I hadn't heard in years. The house, once filled with tension and resentment, now smelled of baked bread and freedom. Later that week, Brenda visited. She brought a homemade pie and 2 cups of coffee. We sat on the porch, watching the sunset. "So," she said, cutting a slice, "how does it feel to have your house back?" I took a deep breath, looked around, and smiled. "It feels like coming home to myself." Brenda nodded. "You did the right thing, Carol. You finally stood up for you." "I know," I said quietly. "And you know what, Brenda? It's never too late." She squeezed my hand. "Never." That night, before going to bed, I wrote one last thing in my notebook. It took me 68 years to realize that loving others doesn't mean losing myself. From now on, I'll choose peace over guilt, self-respect over approval, and freedom over fear. I closed the notebook and turned off the light. The house was silent, but it wasn't empty. It was full of something new, hope. And for the first time in decades, I whispered into the quiet, smiling through my tears. "Welcome home, Carol."